Everyone thinks they know the Ukraine war. The West says it's democracy, Russia says survival, and the global South calls it a burden. 3 stories, 3 realities. Each hides something. This isn't just war. It's about power, money, and the narratives used to justify both. Ukraine has become more than a battlefield. It's a mirror where global powers project their values, fears, and ambitions. For some, Ukraine is a noble cause. For others, a destiny. And for many, just another weight added to their struggles. In Western capitals, Ukraine is framed as freedom under attack, a brave democracy resisting authoritarian aggression. Politicians call it a fight for civilization itself. NATO flags wave, speeches echo, and the media repeats, democracy must not fall. Every soundbite paints Ukraine as a fortress of liberty. The narrative is clean, inspiring, and almost cinematic. Good versus evil, David against Goliath. But behind this heroic framing lies a complex reality, one rarely shown in the headlines. Behind those speeches are budgets full of weapons contracts and energy deals, sanctions that reshape global markets. Ordinary citizens feel it most. Food prices climbing, heating costs exploding, and wages stagnant. Meanwhile, arms manufacturers celebrate record profits. Western leaders call this sacrifice. Higher bills today for security tomorrow. But ask families who can't afford groceries if they feel more secure. Many see leaders funding wars abroad while problems at home multiply. Now flip to Moscow. There, it isn't invasion, it's survival. Leaders insist NATO expansion left them no choice. Russian media frames Ukraine as a pawn of the West and the Kremlin's mission as liberation, not destruction. Russia ties this war to history. They call it destiny, the continuation of the Great Patriotic War. The same slogans and the same imagery, recycled for a new century. For Moscow, this isn't about borders, it's about eternal struggle. Propaganda paints Russia as a fortress, strong, moral, and encircled by enemies. But behind the walls, reality is harsher. Sanctions cut technology, young men drafted, dissent silenced. The fortress looks sturdy, but inside, cracks spread wider every day. For ordinary Russians, survival means shortages, censorship, and isolation. What the Kremlin calls destiny feels more like decline. The empire's myth is built on sacrifice, but those making the sacrifice are the ones with no power to refuse it. Step outside the West and Russia, and the war looks different. In Africa, Asia, and Latin America, Ukraine feels distant, yet it shapes daily life. Wheat blocked, fuel soaring, fertilizer scarce. Their economies bleed from a war they never chose. A mother in Kenya pays more for bread. A farmer in Brazil struggles with fertilizer. A worker in India spends half his wage on fuel. For the global South, Ukraine is not democracy or destiny. It's survival against shortages created far away. They also see double standards. When bombs fall in Yemen or Sudan, the world barely notices. But when Europe bleeds, wallets open, headlines dominate, and endless aid flows. To many, the Ukraine war proves not all lives are valued equally. This fuels resentment. Leaders in the global South attend summits and smile for cameras, but their citizens ask, why are our crises ignored while Ukraine receives billions? Diplomacy hides it, but bitterness simmers underneath. For them, Ukraine is not a moral crusade. It is an economic burden they did not choose. They ask, why should our children go hungry for a European war? Why should our hospitals collapse while Europe receives endless aid? So here we stand with 3 stories. The West promises democracy but hides profit. Russia proclaims destiny but hides isolation. The global South suffers the burden but hides resentment. Each story reveals more about the teller than about Ukraine itself. And lost in all of this are Ukrainians. They don't speak in grand speeches. They bury their dead, clear rubble, and hope tomorrow comes. Their story isn't ideology, it's survival, lived daily under air raids, displacement, and fear. A child studies underground in a metro. A mother waits for a train with one suitcase. An old man sits outside the ruins of his home. These are not symbols for speeches. These are human lives interrupted by war. The Ukraine war is more than geopolitics. It's a global stage where powers project ambitions, while ordinary people pay the bill. Every sanction, every speech, Every deal is written in the lives of people who never asked for this war. 3 perspectives, 3 truths, 3 lies. The West, Russia, and the Global South, all with stories to tell. But one truth rises above them all. The people of Ukraine are paying with their future, while others play power games.